J.D. Glasscock on a Friday day. I think it's poetry reprisal number 17 or 18. I'm not quite sure. It's called Bones Rattle in My Waking Eyes. It was a morning like any other morning. Eyes half-lidded and attempting to pull themselves out of sand and sleep. Body puppeted itself into pseudo-wakefulness, chorusing repetitious rhythms to bathroom morning exits of liquid overnight build-ups. Then stumbling out front doors with nicotine stories touching lips. Inhale. Seeing my grandma's dogs in front of her place, snuffling morning rituals in tight concentric circles to steaming excrement exclamation points. My mind drifting, still shaking cobwebs from dusty halls of brain pans. No urge to say hello to grandmother, most likely tapping morning blues on upper steps, waiting for her floppy-eared infant's return. She didn't like anyone ghosting her eyes before she had painted her own piece of sunshine on rosy cheeks and mascara-lined, picturesque moments. Didn't like anyone seeing the flecks of age that had drawn runes upon her skin. Not till she had done her best to rouge away the premise of promise, and the truth that hid itself under thickened layers of conscience wrapped in blush. So I slid back into the house, sick falling to low, fading embers on soles of feet. Spent a couple hours wasting ticks of time along keyboards and pages turning in beat-up dime store novels, till I again felt the rising beast of a cigarette's folly crawling up my scar-carved throat, roiling my veins in falsetto bird calls to a mating of past and prescient roads twisted into birth and breath. Then I rolled the broken record of my shriveled lungs back out front doors of solace and symmetry. But as my feet pre-programmed their way into woven dirt trails, my head did a double shake and a crow's fate. Saw Grandma's dogs still circling ground that long ago should have been abandoned. Saw sorrow in their throats, panting in whimpers and whispers. The rivers of eyes flicking back up darkened stairwell as they thwarted low-humming forget-me-nots into the gentle breeze, drifting hidden melancholy through gnarled, bark-broken trees. Before I knew my next breath, my feet were up on her bottom steps, my limbs shaking and heartbreaking, my constricted tongue trying to unravel. Intone plaintive callings to the woman who had nestled me in warmth against the dirge of pains all the toddler years I have churned through this mud. I caterwauled up steps on a lonely wind, curving round corner into kitchen car from a raven's nest. Saw my grandma hugging tile, arms in rictus claw passages from her back, as if she'd been fighting monsters penciled in a candle's glimmer. Her eyes wide, her false teeth falling wayward like useless pennies from her open jaw. My knees hit ground and bruises pitched themselves across my heart. I flipped phone and dialed flames of numbers to disembodied voices trickling warmth and concern into their played-out choices. How long has she been there? Is she breathing? Do you know CPR? We'll be right there. We'll be right there. My hands moving, teeth chipped and woven in mourning. My hands lifting shirt, punching nose, fingers trailing against pushing of bones under ribs. My mouth blowing nicotine breath into cold weeping flesh, over and over like a record spinning staccato repeats to an ever-indifferent crowd. Salty flashbacks of childhood blues in her soft warm arms castling me against the fears of moon and night. More pushing, hearing and channeling, a bone breaking under my assault. More sick exhales and impoverished catcalls of dried up wells, again and again. Morning like any other morning. A morning like any other morning. Morning like any other morning. Her glassy eyes, ribbon sirens into my limbs. Her cold flesh and rotting breath, the dolls I would hold as closure to the goodbye I never said. The memory I bury every morning when my eyelids flutter to waking worlds. Death is closer than the clothes I climb into. Death is closer than the clothes I climb into. She calls to me from dark alcoves. Rictus grin with no teeth, her arms claws signing out corpses into the blank backdrop of my lifeless lungs. Cigarette smoke drifting from ashtrays, holding bad days. I feel like a forever fall. Bones dance in my silhouette.